All right,
Um,
so we're here with James and Amber. James has graciously agreed to do a little overview of the Pajamas migration project. And yeah, so I'll let you take it away, James.
yeah, great, excellent. So, I'll show you a bit about what the project is, but it might be useful for you to hear a little bit more about like what I've been doing with other interns or fellows or similar programs. So, or maybe some more context on me, right? So I used to work in sales for like 10 years, and I only became a software engineer like 4 years ago, mostly self-taught. And have been really involved with a local free code school where I've been teaching since I learned. I started teaching like HTML, CSS, and kept teaching from there. So I really like that part of things. Um, and then, yeah, so at GitLab, because we're open source, I think it's a really great opportunity to teach people, like particularly their first professional experience with software engineering. And because we're open source, that works really well. So I've been trying to do like some live coding on Twitch, stuff like that, and YouTube. But recently we've been working on with the contributor success team to create a course for people who are looking for their first professional software development experience. And part of that is working on the Pajamas migration project. So I'll show you a bit about what the project is and what we're doing. Um, Share my screen. So this tool is the Pajamas adoption scanner. I'll put these links in the docs as we go in the notes. But what this scanner does is it looks at our code base and it finds any violations in our rules and then identifies what is a violation and how it can be fixed. So, for example, we have 196 findings of there being like a GL button class within a Haml or a Ruby file. So I don't know if you know much about a front end at GitLab, but it's made up of Haml, which is a Ruby on Rails templating language, HTML templating language. So sometimes those buttons are actually in Ruby or in Ruby on Rails because um, we've defined some method to create a button, and we're using the old styling. So we used to style buttons like this with a GL button, a GitLab button class, which would automatically make a button that looks like one of our buttons. But we've changed the way we do things, and we now use it's called a view component, but it's very confusing um, because we use view in the rest of our front end. So VIEW. I'll show you. So we have these special components for creating, in this case, a button. So we use like this pajamas button method to create a button. So these 196 findings, we need to replace the old style of using gel button with using this method.
It's a
So I'll show you an issue.
dumb question, James, but
Mhm.
put Pajamas, is that just like a UI framework
Mm,
we're using?
mm. Yeah, so pajamas design system is like but this is so it's our design system, our design guidelines at GitLab. So if you want to know
Oh, this
like
is what we developed in-house.
yeah, this is all in-house.
Cool.
So yeah, it covers everything from like I think it even covers like if you're making a presentation, you want to know like what logo should I use? you'll find it in the Pajamas design system.
Wow,
But
it's great to know.
I think,
I've
yeah,
seen pajamas all over, but I
it's a good question.
transparency, I never looked up what it actually was.
Yeah, it's a good question. But what we mainly use it for is, so GitLab UI is our Vue, VUE, which is the front end framework that we use. This is the component library we use, so it's in-house GitLab UI. And then yeah, so if it's not in Vue, then we'd have to do it in Haml, and then we use a slightly different. So this is how you do it in Vue, and then if you're doing in Haml, it's a bit different. So for a button, for example, you can see on the Pajamas design system, what our buttons look like, what all of the options are, and then how to implement it in Vue and how to implement it in Rails. And the reason we did this is so that every button at GitLab looks correct, like fulfills our design guidelines. Yeah, so that's what we're doing. This is where we're at. Anything in orange is ready. Orange is not currently compliant. And the main things we're focusing on at the moment are these buttons and also these drop downs. So we have this tool for like finding issues for Pajamas migration days. So tomorrow we're having like a company-wide Pajamas migration day. We're asking people from all over the company to contribute to this migration program. So what we're asking people is like, do you want one hard issue or lots of easy ones? And if you look at lots of easy ones, you can see all of our button issues. So the button issues, they just mention where this is capped, and then the parent epic for like how do you do this. But we're currently working on this course, which you can use. It's under construction, but there's a lot of good content here. For like working with GitLab front end for the first time. So I've made videos on each of the things that we're doing. So there's a lot of useful videos here, like that are designed for someone who's brand new to professional code. So like, what is the GDK? I made a video about this, and yeah, some descriptions. So maybe you can use this while you go. Bring it up because there's a couple of things I wanted to brush over, but things like what can be really difficult with these issues is like navigating the code base. Like, if we look at this issue, like trying to work out where this file is located is really difficult. Like it's half the challenge, really.
Yep. Yep.
Um, yeah, so um, here's some tips, and here's a video of me explaining how you do this, how I do this. And writing a good merge request, which if you're learning some technical writing, there's a lot of that in there. But particularly things like what is the Pajamas design system? Yeah, this is under construction. I made like a rough draft on YouTube. It is available, but you can read the notes. It's not very good at the moment. But like, what is the Pajamas design
Great.
system? What are view components and Haml files? This is also like issue maintenance, because this is really difficult because we've got so many issues. Like, if we look at these, we've got 168 issues, and some of them are quite old. And the old ones are a bit difficult. Sometimes quite out of date. So it's hard to, get used to working in this environment. And then also like because of how we set it up, sometimes they're duplicated or already fixed even. So yeah, there's some information here about how to do that. Hi.
Hey, Jalen. James is
I'll
just
just keep going.
walking us through the guide, the front end onboarding guide that he wrote up, which is really great.
Okay.
I'll just keep going and you can catch up on the recording, Jalen, if that's all right.
Sorry about that.
Oh good, oh good. Yeah. So yeah, there's some good tips here for like when you start out, like an introduction to Haml. Like we at GitLab, when we hire front end engineers, we don't expect them to have done any Haml before, but we do expect them to do it to GitLab. It's pretty straightforward, but I made this little guide. Hopefully it's useful. And then also like yeah, particularly when it's first a professional role, like and first remote role, it's hard to ask questions effectively. So again, made like a little guide here. And this is with the idea that the pajamas migration issues are not as clearly defined as I would like them to be. So some of the training here is about how do you deal with something that's not quite properly organized, which is good things to learn. But yeah, so there's a bunch of issues here that you're welcome to pick up. So some of them are drop downs. You can see like component drop down. These are a lot harder and usually actually all in Vue. So if you don't know Vue, this can be really tricky. But this is the framework that we work with. It's worth learning. This will be useful for your career. But yeah, if you just want to do buttons, that's also okay. So a button, there's lots of easy ones. So if we view the issues on here, we have 79 buttons that need to be migrated. So here's the issue, and then this is the epic. You can also see the epic is like it's part of this epic. So if you look at this epic, it has like all of the instructions on how do you migrate a Haml button to a pajamas compliant. And there's lots of examples here. Yeah, so hopefully it shouldn't be super difficult. And then you can see all the issues here, and you can just find one that's unassigned, pick one and try it. Yeah.
Awesome. So I think James, yeah, I mean, this is great. It sounds like there's a pretty nice path for Amber and Jalen to get started on this. So I think um what maybe James, what you could do is could you we have a doc on the calendar invite. Could you paste some of these links into that so that they kind of have everything in one place? And for Amber and Jalen, I think what I recommend is maybe first going through this guide that James wrote up. It goes through a lot of great stuff like how to set up your GDK, that you'll need to do some of these migrations. And then I think I would suggest maybe doing a couple of buttons first, to kind of see how it feels. And then, yeah, and then if you're up for it, you can try doing one of the drop downs. But this is great. I mean, this will be your first kind of real code in GitLab, so that's really exciting.
If it's your first code in GitLab, this lesson, you can still see my screen, right? I'm still sharing.
Yep. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. This first lesson is like about the very first MR you make. we have a list of issues that's I'll find them. So all the issues is like all over our code base, we have this link, learn more. And sometimes the full stop is included in the hyperlink. Sometimes it's not. And it should always be not. So instead of doing this like all at once, I split it out into a bunch of issues. And each of these issues is just move the full stop. So this is
Oh,
a really
okay.
good place to start.
That might be a great first step then before the button, huh?
Yeah. And yeah, I wrote lesson one only with this in mind. Like, so
Yeah, yeah,
I show you
great,
how do you do this. So if you follow lesson one, yeah, that's just doing these issues.
great.
Oh, and it might also be helpful for you to know that earlier this year we had the what's it called? The Major League Hacking Fellowship program. I don't know if you've heard about this, but we had two engineers with us for a short time from this program. And they primarily worked on on these migrations, starting with buttons and then doing drop downs. And then at the moment, we also have the Google Summer of Code participants who are also working on this as well. Yeah.
Awesome. I have to drop, but so I'll stop the recording.